All right, so now you've seen it. There are two more projects. You just do essentially the same thing. You just infect your box with different kinds of malware. So this was a PUP, a potentially unwanted program for this one. This one is a bot. So it's going to phone home to the command and control server, sending network traffic off. So you infect the machine this time with the same kind of thing, download something, run it, bypass all the warnings, and then you're going to get network traffic from the client. You can capture network traffic remotely. It'll capture the traffic and download it on your machine. One thing that's annoying about it is it collects it from a default window. Microsoft has a built-in Windows network monitor, but it doesn't use the standard PCAP format. It uses some weird format and then imperfectly converts it to PCAP. So when it takes an ETL file, you have to run the Velociraptor artifact twice. Once it starts the collection, then you wait a minute, then you run it one more to stop the collection and download the results. And you will get an ETL file and a PCAP file, but the PCAP file will not open. The conversion fails, so you have to fix it. And there's an online tool to fix it. So kind of silly, but you get used to this in the world of Microsoft. You can also download the tool and run it locally on Windows, the ETL to PCAP. For some reason, the default converter doesn't work. Anyway, once you convert it, then you can open it in Wireshark and examine the network connection. And you will see beacons going to a command and control server every 30 seconds or every minute or something. But you see, so that's network traffic. You can go to the DNS cache. You can see recent DNS resolutions. And you'll find one of them is the remote server it's connecting to. One thing that's weird is on some machines, the DNS cache is always empty. So I found as a workaround, if that happens, you have to change the DNS server to 8.8.8.8. I don't know if that's still going to happen on Windows 11, but that did happen on Windows 10. Then you can find, now that you know the URL of the remote server, you can look for that. If the name of the remote server was securityreport.samsclass.info. You found that from the network traffic and from the DNS resolution, so now you can look for files that contain that string, security report. And those will be the ones involved in the infection, and you find it. It's this thing called securitytest.exe. And now that you know that, you can use Sysmon, which is quite useful. Sysmon is an improvement to the Windows event logger. It makes more log entries that are easier to understand. So you have to install Sysmon, and there's various tricks to do that. You have to use a bunch of these command lines on Windows on ARM, but you can automatically install it on Windows on Intel. And when you're done, you can use this event log hunter to download the Sysmon events. And you can even tell it to only give you the ones with event ID 1, which is process create. So I can get a list of the processes that have been created on that machine, which is not a very overwhelming list, and you'll be able to find the process. You'll notice processes are being created at exactly 1 minute apart. 2001, 2101, 2201, and so on. So that tells you this one doesn't launch every time you restart. This one is in task scheduler to run every minute. So that's the clue that it's probably a scheduled task because it has this pattern of time. So then you can harvest the scheduled tasks from the machine. There's a task scheduler for that. And you can find the scheduled task that refers to security tests, and that's what's automatically launching it and sending those beacons. So then you can do a hunt. A hunt is what you, normally once you do this, you analyze one infected machine until you find the indicators of compromise, then you make a hunt and send it to your whole fleet. So all those machines will report back whether they have those things. That's what a hunt is. So you can go to Hunt Manager and create a hunt which will harvest several artifacts at once. So your hunt will get Sysmon install, a VTX hunter, task scheduler, and DNS cache. So it'll get all that information from every machine in your fleet. And for that information, you can tell whether they're infected or not.
So, sorry.
Yeah.
You locate the bot and you see if the bot is replicated in
That's right.
another machine.
Yeah. So now I found the indicators of compromise, which are, I should see that securitytest.samsclass.info in the DNS cache. I should see a scheduled task launching it periodically. And I should see some process create events in the event log after I install this Sysmon to get the more useful event logs. So these are ways to interrogate a machine and find out if it's infected without having to do a big complicated thing like download the whole hard drive. This is an example of a hunt you might do. And so you can run that hunt automatically on your machines and see how it goes. We only have one machine, so it's the same thing, but you could be 1,000 machines, and that's how you would do it. So that's what this one does, a somewhat more realistic investigation. Let me stop this recording.
The assumption here,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm reasoning a little bit with a naive mind.
Yeah,
The same bot will install in the same location on each machine, right?
that's probably, so I could I could have also, like the names of files in the root of C. That would be another possible thing I could have put in my hunt. I didn't do that, but I could have. I focused on network traffic here, but that would be another way to go.
Okay, no, because my follow-up question is,
Yeah.
okay, how do I interrogate the other machines to see if the bot is also on those?
Well, that's what this does, and I could have just as well done like a dir C.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure what the name of that, it might be just dir. Let's see, if I want to do a directory of like the root of C, I wonder what, I haven't done it, but it shouldn't be that hard to figure out. Let's try doing it here. If I go to, let's go to all, and this one, and there we are. Now I can collect it. So let's see if dir is one of my options. And Windows, triage, system allocation, Windows registry.
You had a directory.
Yeah, that's directory maybe?
Yeah, list directory.
Yeah,
Windows.
see what directory does, Windows, forensics partition. Actually, it's a good question, and I'm not
Active
sure.
Directory.
Windows analysis, Windows analysis evidence, simple evidence to find evidence of user download activity based on the zone identifier. It's actually a good question. Let me see if I can find this out. Velociraptor, just which artifact? Which artifact does a directory of files? All right, list directory, okay.
I think you had it.
I should have found that, but let's try that.
I think you
Plus-
have it. You have it.
Maybe it should be there, list directory. There we are, system VFS, okay. This is an internal artifact. That doesn't look right. What is the artifact? Oh, that's what it uses. Actually, Hunting Evil uses the file store. Now that you mention it, it doesn't seem like they have one that just does a list of one directory. How about a list of files? I think you can get one that lists all files on the box, though. That's a fairly common thing you do. Lists all files is this, used by the GUI. Here are some other artifacts. Yeah, CAPE files. This is one I've used before, CAPE files. It's a forensic library, CAPE. There we are, CAPE files. This artifact is a popular bulk collection tool for triaging a system quickly. It gives you a list of a whole bunch of useful things from a system. CAPE itself is a tool, and so it'll automatically do a whole bunch of things. And here we are. I thought it would tell me what it would do here. A little more detail than that. Yeah, here we go. Here's what it's going to do. Use the file accessor, larger than this. Basic collection. It gives you the configuration files from the hard drive, like the master file table and everything. It gives you the the cache, which is the one of those caches we talked about in the forensic class. It gives you the event logs. It gives you link files from recent, link files from Microsoft Office, restore points, PowerShell config. It just gives you a whole bunch of stuff. So, I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, you just run this. And then you get a whole pile of stuff, which I think it also lists all your files.
So the important is to locate the bot.
Yeah, yeah. And this is, and if you don't know what to do, use one of these generic collectors that will just get a pile of data. And then you'll be able to look through that and decide what part of it matters, and then probably write a more specific. Here, a whole bunch of registry hives. It gives you a lot of things, and I think among everything else, it does list all the files. That's one thing you can use if you want a more thorough investigation. Very good.